Hey. I was thinking, it's crazy, like, when I'm, like, walking or thinking throughout the day, like, I have all this stuff that I want to share, and I just feel like having survived, you know, domestic violence and having my throat slit, having survived these, like, abusive partnerships and, like, self-destructive relationships and just self-destruction in general, like having survived myself, and of course drug addiction, IV drug addiction, having kind of come out on the more sinister aspect of addiction and self-destruction and chaos. I just feel like compelled to, you know, share a little bit about how I did that, you know, but at the same time, everything, the tricky part is, for me, is everything that leads a person to destruction, whether it's like in a partnership, like a romantic relationship, or just, you know, through some type of, you know, abuse, like abuse that you seek out, just self-destruction and escapism and addiction and chaos, like everything that led me to seek that out. Like I said before, it felt so innate. It's me, you know, and we all have to like overcome ourselves to have a life. And it's like, it seems like even people sometimes that manage to, you know, for whatever reason, have like these incredibly successful lives, still end up like not knowing how to live, you know, at the end of the day. And it's like I think it's because there's like two aspects to reality and to life. The hair, like, they're driving me crazy. It was like stuck to my mouth. Anyway, there's like two aspects to life, really. You know, it's like your external life, your career, and you know, this like little niche that you carve out for yourself, and like your place in the world. And then there's like your, you know, your internal life, like managing your mind and controlling your mind and having peace of mind. And really, you have to, if you have peace of mind, I just feel like your external cannot work for you. Like, it's going to work for you if you can manage your mind. But it is weird, like sometimes it seems like there are people who have managed to some way somehow get to this place of external success, but still don't feel confident or worthy or capable or deserving or whatever, you know. And that's where like imposter syndrome, I guess, comes in. It's like the Chris Cornell song, you know, and he's just like begging, like, show me how to live. Like, I relate to that so much. But at the same time, you know, it's like he's immortal, you know. And he obviously, like, the way he died, he must have been in pain, and he must have never gotten that, you know, been able to take control over his mind to some degree, because look how he died, you know, in so much pain that he couldn't take it anymore. And he, you know, died, I guess, by his own hand. I mean, that's the, you know, it was a suicide. So it's just like, you know, I relate to that, but at the same time, it's like, damn, you know, at least you fucking had this amazing life, and you have this music that makes you basically immortal, and you're going to be like beloved forever, and you were able to do that much, you know. It's like, I get so, imposter syndrome, like, as a phrase, was like one of the most fucking disappointing things of my life. When I first heard of imposter syndrome, I don't know if I've talked about this before, but when I first heard of like the phrase imposter syndrome, I thought it was finally like a phrase that fit me. I've always been looking for like some type of phrase or theory or school of thought that explains why I feel like a fraud in life. You know, I've always felt very uncomfortable in reality. in my skin, in conversation. I'm actually oddly good at intimate conversations, and I found like people open up to me like a lot. I'm really good with like one-on-one conversations, but talking on the phone, doing YouTube videos, like paying a bill, ordering food, anything, like casual conversation, a job, like every marker of life and success, and like being able to function, and also like I said, being in my skin, being my body, being in reality. I've just felt incredibly uncomfortable, and I've found it very difficult to live with my mind. And that's a fucking frustrating feeling. And people, you know, it's like you either get it or you don't. You can either live with ease or you can't. And I just don't understand how people can be like Chris Cornell or like Hunter S. Thompson, or like all of these. There's several women authors who are like, you know, my biggest sources of inspiration, my ideals, like my dream women in a lot of ways. But I've heard them say the same fucking thing. Like, oh, I just feel like I'm going through these motions of life, you know? And on one hand, that's relatable. But on the other hand, it's honestly very fucking frustrating because, you know, it's like with imposter syndrome. I thought at first it was like the syndrome that was going to help me understand why I felt like an imposter in a human body, on this planet, in reality. And I was like, oh my God, finally, there's like a syndrome for this. I knew there was. If I just kept looking, I finally found it. It's called imposter syndrome. But then I like looked it up, because I heard it like using a sentence or something, and I looked it up and I was like, oh, it's for people that can function very fucking well, but yet just feel like in their mind that they're like undeserving, unworthy, not capable, whatever. And I was like, wow, that is a fucking disappointment, because unlike a lot of people that have imposter syndrome, evidently, I actually, you know, am living up to my dis-ease within reality. And it's like so frustrating, you know. Like I said, like I have these goals to you know, to help people by sharing my story, to help people by overcoming my mental illness, and just showing like, hey, you can get out of the bowels of like IV drug addiction and sex work and homelessness and not be like a ruined woman or a ruined person. Because a lot of times I feel like that's kind of the message that's subtly and not so subtly pushed in society, that, you know, once you've gone so far, it's like an impossibility to come out on the other side. So, you know, I've come so far, but still yet, like, you know, I have these goals of being like a writer and in New Orleans and having this life, and it's like I can see it in my head, but, you know, there's still a chunk of me that's like, how the fuck do you get there? You know, even when I'm doing the steps, there's still a part of me that just like wants to or cannot not get in my own way, if that makes any sense, you know. And it's not even like addiction, you know, and because I had all these issues with reality and living in reality well before I ever dabbled with drugs. Like I said, it was like I went from one extreme to the other. I was like a perfectionist, and I was very clinically self-conscious, but I got great grades. I never smoked pot till I was 18. But, you know, then I went off the rails, and, you know, but I just could never like really pull the trigger on taking the steps to have like a life of success, you know. And I see people that I graduated with that have gone on to do amazing things, and people that, you know, boys that used to tease me in grade school, just like class clowns, you know, a guy that I knew I saw on Facebook, which, like I said, I can't do social media, but this is even like a stretch for me, like uploading videos, but I'm working on it. But anyways, I saw on my fiance's social media, he's like living in Montana. I'm like, how in the fuck do people live out of state, you know, like to even get that level of success, to be able to like move and have a career. And so it's frustrating when I see these women that I look up to, and that, you know, I know you can have this perfect, quote unquote, perfect life from the outside, and if you're not really feeling it internally, and if you still, you know, don't take care of your mental health, it's going to be kind of all for nothing, you know. I know that, but at the same time, it just drives me like up the fucking wall when I hear in an interview a very successful female author say, and I've heard like 3 different successful female authors talk about, I was going through the motions of life, and I was running in and out of airports, and I was going to book signings, and I just had this perfect life. And I was like, yeah, it really cried me a fucking river, you know, but on the inside, and it's like, you know, if you can even get to that level of success, it's not like it doesn't matter, but if you can get out of your own way enough to build this life that is truly a dream, truly an ideal, you know, financially, you know, in every marker of success, it's a dream life. And, you know, on one hand, it would suck that much more, because it's like, why aren't you happy? And I know happiness isn't like based on money or any of those measures, but at the same time, it's like, damn, at least you got that far, you know? I mean, I counted a fucking blessing, and just like every single fucking millimeter that I go in the right direction feels like a mile personally. Every day that I wake up and get further away from like having to stick a needle in my veins so I can feel something, that's my marker of success, you know? And sometimes I look at it too, like people that get that to that level of success, and they're still haven't managed their mind. You know, there's 2 ways I look at it. One way, it's like, damn, you know, Jesus Christ, am I ever gonna be okay? You know, who the fuck is okay, right? Another way, it's like, well, you know, I've come further than, you know, a lot of people have, and you know, I'm still going in the right direction. So I try to look at it as like a positive thing, but I don't know. It's just like imposter syndrome is my imposter syndrome in a nutshell, because, you know, unlike people that feel like they were undeserving, I actually like lived up to that insecurity, you know, and now I am trying, I'm trying to like get out of my own way and just keep doing what works. Like I said in my other video, like COVID really threw me for a loop in terms of mental health. And of course, like, I don't know, it's just like, I don't even want to get into that, but it's just, I don't know, it's just harder, like, it seems sometimes to just, it's like mental health, I'll just say this, mental health, it's like, yeah, we talk about it more and more honestly and in a realer way than we ever have, and that's great, but it still just feels like we're not actually talking about people that are struggling, and we're not talking in a real way. It just seems kind of like we're not talking about people on like an empathetic level. It's just kind of like sympathizing, or just seems kind of phony or something. I don't know. It still feels like mental health and really just the struggle of living is kind of misunderstood. And I think just in my opinion, one of the big reasons for that is because socioeconomics aren't talked about, you know, and money is everything, you know. If you have a drug problem and you're rich, then you're just someone who's struggling with a drug problem. But if you have a drug problem and you're poor, you know, then you're, you know, dirty, you're a felon, you're like this ruined, unproductive, you know, miscreant of society. And if you're a woman and you're, you know, had an addiction, then you were like, oh, you know, if you didn't have a sex work, you're like, you know, a marked woman as like a whore and like some type of, you know, dirty Jezebel or something, especially in like a small town. But really, I think it's like human nature. I don't know. It's just, in summary, when, you know, Chris Cornell said, show me how to live. It's like, yeah, exactly. Show me how to live. But at the same time, it would have been awesome if he would have given some pointers on how he managed to get as far as he did, and even get it together to the degree that he did. Same thing with like these authors, you know, that I look up to so much. It's like, oh, okay, I don't know, man. It's just like, you obviously were doing something right. So really, what's it matter if you feel unqualified to do exactly the thing that you are managing to excel at, you know? I mean, so I don't know. I'm working on it, but the struggle is real, as they say.